Hollywood is a place embroiled in scandal and disrepute. This was just as true back in its early days. It seems that from the very start, the glitz and glamour were just a thin surface layer that hid the dirt and evil beneath. That may actually be part of what makes Hollywood so charming. People enjoy hearing about scandals, and Tinseltown has a nigh-endless supply of them. So join us for today's video as we look at the lives of 15 iconic celebrities whose past will shock you. Number 15. Cary Grant. In 1960, Good Housekeeping magazine received a very unexpected phone call. On the other end was none other than Cary, elegant, polished, and usually private. But he wasn't calling for an interview about his films. He wanted to discuss the psychedelic trips he'd been taking using LSD. And not just casually, he'd taken the drug more than 100 times between 1958 and 1961. What began as therapy, introduced by his third wife, spiraled into something more. He swore it helped him conquer childhood trauma, a father who cheated and a mother committed to an asylum against her will. While Grant swore by the spiritual insight the acid gave him, not everyone was impressed. One vision involved him turning into a massive phallus and rocketing into space. When the counterculture embraced LSD, Grant backed away. He didn't want to be lumped in with the hippies. Still, he never denied that it changed his life completely. Number 14. Sylvia Fine. Sylvia Fine's name may not have rung out like her husband's, but she was far more than Danny Kaye's partner. Fine was a composer, producer, and lyricist with serious talent of her own. The two married in 1940 and stayed together until Kaye's death in 1987. While he lit up the screen in musicals and comedies, she helped steer his creative direction. Their marriage wasn't just romantic, it was a long-standing collaboration. Kaye had a reputation in Hollywood for playing soft, neurotic, sometimes effeminate characters. This led to rumors about his sexuality, especially in the early days when he was rumored to be romantically involved with other men. Their union was often labeled a lavender marriage, but unlike others of the era, theirs lasted. They had a daughter, Dina, and remained close throughout his career. Whatever the truth of Kaye's private life, Fine remained his anchor. Publicly and privately, she was part of every stage he graced. Number 13. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich's film career stretched across 8 decades, but her private life was even more provocative. In the 1920s Berlin, she was already breaking social boundaries, attending drag balls, frequenting gay bars, and wearing trousers when it was considered scandalous. Her sexuality was fluid. She had relationships with both men and women, including Greta Garbo, Edith Piaf, and Claudette Colbert. Her masculine style and raw sexuality gave her an unmatched allure. She blurred lines without apology. Dietrich carried this defiance into Hollywood, maintaining her freedom even as studios tried to manage her image. She didn't care about labels or expectations. Whether in Paris or Los Angeles, she loved who she wanted, dressed how she pleased, and spoke her mind. The intensity of her image was deliberate, but her passions were authentic. In a business obsessed with illusion, she remained fiercely real. Number 12. Loretta Young. Loretta didn't play by Hollywood's harshest rules. When she got pregnant by Clark Gable during the filming of Call of the Wild, abortion wasn't an option she would entertain. Gable was married, and the affair would have ruined them both. So, Young vanished from the public eye under the excuse of a mysterious illness, gave birth in secret, and arranged for her daughter to be adopted by her. She orchestrated a staged adoption to cover up the scandal. It wasn't just a clever PR move, it was survival. Young's decision saved her career while protecting her child from shame. In a world where actresses were told what to wear, whom to marry, and whether or not they could have kids, Young found a way to play the system on her terms. She didn't broadcast the truth, but she also didn't let MGM dictate every inch of her personal life. Number 11. Humphrey Bogart. Studio publicists told different tales about Humphrey Bogart's signature scar. Some claimed it came from a Navy brawl, others from a prisoner's punch during transport. His drinking buddies told a simpler version. He got it in a drunken bar fight. Bogart spent his early years haunting New York speakeasies, drinking until he blacked out, often waking up in strange places or in the middle of a fistfight. His barroom antics got him booted from more than one stage production. Eventually, he moved west and settled at the Garden of Allah, a notorious haven for Hollywood's hard-drinking elite. Bogart's crew included John Huston, Lauren Bacall, and Frank Sinatra. Together, they raised hell and coined the original Rat Pack. Despite his violent outbursts and self-destructive habits, Bogart remained a magnetic force on screen. He claimed he only went sober once in his life and said it was the worst afternoon he ever had. It was classic bogey. Number 10. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy captivated audiences with her performance in Carmen Jones, but behind the spotlight, her life was filled with suffering. After growing close to director Otto Preminger, their relationship turned physical, leading to a pregnancy. Preminger was married and had no intention of changing that. The studio stepped in quickly, demanding she terminate the pregnancy. For Dandridge, it wasn't just about reputation, it was about keeping her career alive. A black lady dating a white director was already considered scandalous, especially with miscegenation laws still active in several states. The studio's order was clear: remain a marketable sex symbol or lose everything. Dandridge went through with the abortion, just another sacrifice buried beneath fame. Her race, her gender, and her independence made her a target. Hollywood wanted her as an icon, but only on their terms. She played the role beautifully, even while the system stripped her choices away. Number 9. Dorothy Arzner. Dorothy Arzner carved out a space for herself in a man's world and never gave it back. In a time when Hollywood was strictly male-dominated, she directed nearly 24 films over a 24-year career. She wasn't just a filmmaker, she was the first woman admitted to the Directors Guild of America. Arzner wasn't quiet about who she was. She spent the final 4 decades of her life with her partner, screenwriter, and choreographer, Marion Morgan. She was also rumored to have been romantically linked to some of Hollywood's most iconic women, Joan Crawford, Billie Burke, Ona Munson, and Alla Nazimova. She lived unapologetically in her truth, long before that was even remotely safe to do. Her work shaped future legends like Francis Ford Coppola, and her legacy lives on not just through her films, but through the barriers she shattered. Arzner didn't ask permission. She simply walked into the room and made history. Number 8. Vivien Leigh. Vivien was beautiful, brilliant, and fiercely ambitious. Her performance as Scarlett O'Hara defined her career, but her personal life was anything but glamorous. She was already married when she saw Laurence Olivier perform and decided he was the man she'd marry. Olivier, too, was married, didn't matter. Leigh followed him and his wife on vacation, wormed her way into their circle, and seduced him. Olivier's wife was pregnant when he left her. Leigh and Olivier wed shortly after, but their marriage was fraught. Leigh's struggle with mental illness and tempestuous behavior took its toll. After their divorce in 1960, she spent 7 years with actor John Merivale before she died in 1967. She'd also been linked to Marlon Brando, Orson Welles, Alexander Korda, and others. Leigh wasn't ashamed of how she lived. Love and ambition drove her, often recklessly. Her beauty won hearts, but it was her obsession with passion that shaped her legacy. Number 7. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford's public image was polished. A charitable icon, 3-time Oscar nominee, and mother to 5 adopted children. But her private life was tangled in secrets, control, and chaos. In 1978, a year after her death, daughter Christina published Mommy Dearest, a harrowing memoir of their relationship. The book described Crawford as emotionally abusive and violently temperamental, with infamous episodes like screaming over wire hangers and beating her children during fits of rage. Christina wasn't the only adopted child. 2 others backed up parts of her story, while others disputed it. Crawford's image was further complicated by her well-documented feud with Bette Davis, which led her to sabotage her own film to keep Davis from winning another Oscar. Her adoption practices were also controversial. At least one child's biological mother reclaimed custody days after the adoption. Crawford's legacy is split, adored on screen, feared at home. Her legend, like her life, was built on precision and power. Number 6. Walter Brennan. Walter was a decorated actor, winning multiple Academy Awards for films like Sergeant York and The Westerner. He often portrayed warm, grandfatherly types on screen, but his real-life persona clashed starkly with those characters. A staunch conservative, Brennan loathed anything that leaned even slightly liberal. He was an outspoken anti-communist who reportedly labeled anyone with progressive views as dangerous. His social circle included members of the John Birch Society, a group known for promoting segregationist ideologies. The darkest glimpse into his private mindset came when he allegedly expressed joy upon learning of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. Brennan's extreme views remained largely under wraps during his career, but those close to him knew where he stood. He wasn't just politically conservative, he was intolerant and unapologetic about it. While he charmed audiences on screen, off-screen, he lived in a closed ideological bubble, defined more by who he feared than what he believed in. Number 5. John Gilbert. Louis B. Mayer didn't just run MGM, he erased careers. John Gilbert, once a titan of silent cinema, became a target when Mayer decided he was too expensive and difficult to control. Gilbert's voice wasn't the problem. That myth, that his transition to sound failed because of a high-pitched tone, was planted by Mayer himself in fan magazines. He actively sabotaged Gilbert, assigning him to subpar scripts and low-quality productions destined to flop. The studio then blamed the actor for those failures, accelerating his fall. Mayer knew what he was doing: destroy Gilbert's credibility, then nudge him out quietly. By 1933, Gilbert walked away from MGM. Though his decline was swift, his popularity in silent films remained unmatched. His legacy became one of the great what-ifs of early Hollywood. Gilbert wasn't undone by changing technology. He was methodically pushed out by a studio boss who saw him as a threat. Number 4. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck's career spanned over 6 decades, earning her respect from top-tier directors like Frank Capra, Fritz Lang, and Cecil B. DeMille. She began on Broadway after a stint as a Ziegfeld girl in the 1920s, then transitioned to film with Ladies of Leisure. She appeared in 85 films and numerous TV shows. Publicly, she was married twice, first to Frank Fay, later to Robert Taylor. Privately, however, many believe Stanwyck hid her sexuality behind carefully curated press. Though never confirmed, her relationship with publicist Helen Ferguson is often viewed as more than professional. Whether lesbian or bisexual, she never spoke publicly about it. Still, her commanding presence and strong, no-nonsense persona on screen turned her into an accidental queer icon. Rumors were frequent, but Stanwyck never addressed them. She let her work define her, not the whispers. Behind the elegant facade and acclaimed career was a woman whose private truth likely remained locked away. All right now, let's move to number 3. Vincente Minnelli. Judy Garland's marriage to director Vincente Minnelli was far from traditional. They met on the set of Meet Me in St. Louis. Louis and the studio quickly spun the relationship into a fairy tale. But those who knew Minnelli were already aware. He lived as a gay man long before such truth was publicly tolerated. Garland reportedly knew and accepted it. Their marriage, in many ways, was a mutual arrangement. For Minnelli, it provided cover from the era's rigid morality clauses. For Garland, it offered a temporary stability amid a career plagued by studio control and prescription drugs. They had one child together, Liza Minnelli, who would grow up to become a star in her own right. Though the marriage ended, they never publicly denounced each other. Behind the curtain of Technicolor musicals and studio press photos was a complex agreement that reflected the time. They were two performers trying to stay afloat in a system built on illusion. Number 2. Rudolph Valentino. Rudolph's career was as dramatic off-screen as it was on. The studios feared his rumored bisexuality could jeopardize his rising stardom, so in 1919, they orchestrated a marriage with actress Jean Acker, who herself was rumored to be a lesbian. It was a PR stunt. Acker reportedly locked Valentino out of their hotel room on their wedding night. That union fizzled within 2 years. As his fame skyrocketed, the pressure to maintain his image only intensified. In 1923, he married Natasha Rambova, a costume designer rumored to be in a relationship with actress Alla Nazimova. The marriage was also viewed as strategic. The studio disliked his increasingly flamboyant film roles, and this marriage was seen as a way to reframe his public persona. Still, the speculation persisted, earning him the cruel nickname the Pink Powder Puff in certain circles. Behind the smoldering gaze was a man trapped in Hollywood's rigid ideas of masculinity. Number 1. Greta Garbo and Marlene Dietrich's affair. It's been said that in 1925, Greta Garbo and Marlene Dietrich both appeared in the same film, The Joyless Street. Hard to verify, since no complete copies survived. But historian Diana McClellan, after poring over production stills, felt certain they shared screen time. Why does that matter? Well, according to multiple sources, the two women had a secret affair during filming. The younger Garbo was reportedly infatuated with Dietrich. Their time together was intense, but short-lived. After the production wrapped, things unraveled quickly. It ended in tears and bitterness. Dietrich later described Garbo as an unintelligent child, among other sharp words. Not exactly a warm postscript to a passionate fling. While the film may be lost to time, the rumors have survived nearly a century. And for two icons wrapped in mystery and myth, the idea that their lives intertwined so intimately only adds to the intrigue. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon in the next one.